The mantra of the universe is more, more, more. And people say, in fact, our friend just now used the word greedy. And we are accused of teaching selfishness as well as greediness. And we say greed really isn't the right word, because greed is a belief in a quantifiable amount. Greed is belief that there is only so much and I'm going to get mine. Where there is no greed there, because you are understanding that there is no limit to what can be created. There is no shortage, so there can be no greed, you see. Selfishness we do teach, because if you are not selfish enough to care about how you feel and to be in tune with who you are, you have nothing to give anyone. There is a powerful calling of solution and answer. But the most important thing to understand is, friends, we know the answers. We have the solutions. But to you, you got to say, big hairy deal. Because if you're not in the vibrational vicinity, it doesn't matter how clearly we speak it, how clearly we spell it out. If you're not in the vibrational vicinity of the solutions that we are highlighting, you can't hear it. So this conversation that we have just had was all from our understanding that as we remind you who you really are in these very general terms, that you will release resistance and rise to the frequency of that which you are. And that's what's taken place already. You are in closer vicinity to your vortex than you usually are. You are in closer vicinity to the solutions than you seek than you've been in a very long time. So we're going to have a great deal of fun here together. And what you are going to notice is all kinds of ahas are going to begin to occur to you. You're going to feel smarter than you have felt in a very long time, because you are vibrationally up to speed with the solutions that you have been looking for. You are following? So just be playful about it. There's nothing serious going on here at all. All that's happening here is that we are together in the process of assisting one another. We are helping you to come into alignment with who you are and what's in your vortex. And will the manifestation come? Yes, indeed it will. But we're trying to distract you from manifestational scrutiny. Because when you need to see it right here, right now, and you don't, now you're focused upon the absence of it. And when you focus upon the absence of it, it's an entirely different frequency than the presence of it. So now you're not a cooperative component. So if just for a little while we could get you to be looking for the emotional manifestation, and that's a valid word, emotional manifestation, because when you feel an emotion, it happened, it's real, it got you in your gut, didn't it? When you feel emotion, isn't it a reality? It's an indication of vibration. So as you feel an emotion, understand that that emotion is an in the moment reality that you can take to the bank, to the vortex. Do you know that for everything you want, cooperative components are immediately available? That's why there can and should be immediate manifestation of the things that you want, because when you ask, it is given vibrationally. But there is this lag that happens with so many of you. We've been giving the buffer of time the credit for it. In other words, we've been saying to you for a long time that when you want something, there is usually a buffer of time between your identification that you want it and the showing up of it, the manifesting of it, the actualization of it in your life experience. But we want you to know that the only reason that there is that lag is because when you launch your preference, when you amend your desire again and again and again, as you do all day, every day, you are usually not up to speed. You're not a cooperative component to what you're asking for. And the reason that you are not, sometimes, often, usually, a vibrational match to what you're asking for is because you are so what is oriented. You're so deciphering the present manifestation. So when your present reality shows you something that you want, most of you are still so actively involved in explaining what's wrong with the present reality that you prevent yourself from being a cooperative component to what you are looking for. You know, a question has a vibration and an answer has a vibration. But the vibrational difference between the question and the answer is a big vibrational difference. A problem has a vibration. A solution has a vibration. But there's a vibrational variance between the problem and the solution that keeps you from being a cooperative component to the solution. So it's really interesting thing to see that when you ask for something, immediately the source within you, we call that your inner being, the whole of you, becomes an immediate vibrational match to what you're asking for. And law of attraction gathers the cooperative components to it, so there is an immediate attraction of everything that you are asking for. But if you're still beating the drum of what is, I don't have enough money, I don't know what I'm going to do, I've never had enough money, I don't know hardly anybody who has enough money. As you beat the drum of what is, you hold yourself vibrationally apart from what you are really wanting. Now, the best news in all of that is every time you do that, you can feel your vibrational discord. We just stand over here being who you really are and knowing it all and sending a signal of it, and Esther finding as many words as she can in order to help make the bridge, but you are the ones making the movement. And so it's good for you to acknowledge that when you get stuff, that it's your getting it that we really want to amplify, not our giving it, because we give it to a whole lot who don't get it. We want to just briefly, we know you've for the most part heard this so many times you could speak it as well as we do to you. But we want to remind you that before you came into these bodies, that you were non-physical energy. And many of you have been accepting that for a long time. But even as a part of that consciousness is flowing into this physical body, the larger part of you still remains non-physically focused. So as you stand here in this physical body, exploring contrast and knowing what you don't want, and therefore in this moment knowing what you do want, and in this moment knowing what you do want, and some moments being more poignant than others, but knowing, because you can't stop deciphering, and you cannot stop perceiving, and you cannot stop preferring. That's really what we want to say to you. You cannot in any moment in time stop preferring. When you're too hot, you prefer to be cooler. When you're too cold, you prefer to be warmer. When you're confused, you prefer to have clarity. When you don't have enough money, you prefer to have more money. You just cannot turn that preference button off. So all of this focused preferencing that you're doing is causing you to emanate vibrationally these rockets of desire. You don't have to speak it out loud to yourself or to anyone or to the unknown masses. You're just emanating it vibrationally, and the source within you receives the vibrational request and becomes it. You are offering a picture of what we consider to be the ideal stance, and that is appreciative, even more. We were going to say satisfied with where I am and eager for more. You're even more than satisfied where you are. You're off the wall appreciative of where you are and eager for more. And that is exactly the way you felt coming in. And that is exactly the vibrational point of view, the vibrational state of being or point of attraction that will keep calling new to you in a ability to have reasonable alignment with anything that you're asking for. You see, if this time-space reality has the ability to inspire a desire within you, it has the ability to deliver the goods. But you've gone a step better. You understand that this time-space reality has inspired the desire and will continue to inspire the desire, and you love that, but you also have the conscious, full understanding, we can feel it within you, that you now know how to stay in vibrational alignment with the new desires as they're born, and that's why you feel that eagerness, you see. A few years back, we wrote a book with the best title ever given to a book. Ask and it is given. And it was speaking about exactly that. Because when you ask, even with a soft preference, the vibrational part of you, the non-physical part of you, the source energy part of you, the God force part of you, doesn't just answer the request, it becomes the vibrational equivalent of the solution. So if you've got a problem, the solution is there immediately, because you can't have a problem without asking for the solution. You can't have a question without asking for the answer. And in this magnificent universe where you ask, source answers, where you ask, it is given, that's what's happening. So when we say to you, do you know what you're wanting? And some of you say, Well, I don't think I know it in the fullest. I just know that right now this chair is not as comfortable as I would like it to be. Or right now I know that I wish my kids were behaving better back home, where I locked them in a room and said, I'll be back. Be good. But we want you to know that there is this amassed vortex that not only knows what you want, but is what you want. It's the vibrational version of all that you have been requesting that has already been amassed, and all cooperative components have already been drawn to it. And if it is your powerful desire, not so much to get in the vortex, but to recognize when you are in there and then just milk it a little bit, what you will begin to do is to allow the vortex to train your frequency upward. Because you cannot focus upon the problem and the solution at the same time. It's one or the other, you see. And it's so much easier to maintain the vibration of the solution once you are in the vortex. In fact, that's when all of the clarity and insight comes to you. When you're in the vortex, that's when the manifestations begin to reveal themselves to you. The reason this conversation is not very well received by a lot of people is because they are accustomed to looking at things that are manifested, and they sort them into piles of wanted and unwanted. And they're not even thinking about the pile that is amassing for them in their vortex, because they can't see it. And we understand that. You use your physical senses magnificently. You translate vibration to see what you see. You translate vibration to hear what you hear. You translate vibration to smell what you smell, and to taste what you taste, and to touch what you touch. You are translating vibration all over the place. Your emotions are your most significant translator of vibration. So while you can see what's manifested, you can't see what's in the vortex unless you're in there and have been in there long enough that you are on the vibration of what's in there. Once you spend significant time in the vibration of the vortex, what begins to happen is, in the same way you can keenly smell and keenly hear and keenly see and keenly taste and keenly feel, you can keenly know what's in the vortex. You will have the experience of sight and sound. We're not kidding you. When you are in the vortex and you spend enough time there that you acclimate to the frequency of it, the first thing that happens is ideas begin to flow to you that you weren't getting when you weren't in the vortex. Ideas, really good ideas. Impulses to do things, impulses to go there and stop there, impulses to slow down and speed up, impulses that cause you to rendezvous with other cooperative components that you have been looking for, cooperative components that you've been asking for and asking for and asking for, that the source energy has delivered and delivered and delivered and delivered, but just outside the vortex you can't see them, you can't find them, you can't know them, but inside the vortex, aha, there you are. There's an idea I can run with. And how do you know? Because it's an idea that is so compelling, wild horses would not keep you from it. Every one of you knows what we're talking about. You remember falling in love. You remember being at the right place at the right time. So now we're telling you in ways that you cannot miss. You're hearing it with your ears. You're seeing it with your eyes. You're knowing it with your belly. You know what we speak is true. Now that you know this, now that you know about the existence of this vortex, now that you know about the power of your own guidance system, now that you know that this is a vibrational universe, now that you know there's all kinds of things amassed for you that you can't see, now manifestational reality is going to mean less to you for a while. And that's such a good thing. Because when manifestational reality means less to you, vibrational reality will be more to you. Emotional reality will be more to you. Being tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the energy of your source will mean more to you. And you'll catch yourself going off course at those early subtle stages. You'll find yourself in the middle of a sentence wanting to draw it back in and wanting to de-emphasize it rather than emphasize it. You will begin to be the deliberate creator of your own reality from this step forward. It is our promise to you. We are eager to talk with you. Get a little wound up here because you have to understand, we've seen what's in your vortex. We know what you've lined up, and our eagerness is about you discovering the fulfillment of it. But friends, not because we're excited about the manifestation. We are sort of.